Welcome to Keyframers, the animated collaborative coding live stream where we bring imaginative user interfaces to life. I'm your host, Stephen Shaw, but you may know me as @Shashaw.
And I'm your host, David Khourshid, also known as David K.
And together, we are coding compadres, animation amigos, Boolean buddies, and keyframe companions.
We will be creating an animation from scratch live using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript today.
And this show is made possible by your support. You can pledge at patreon.com/keyframers or subscribe at twitch.tv/keyframers. Links are available below, and you may even earn a special shout out during the stream.
Yeah, and we're also happy to answer any questions you may have, so reach out in the Twitter chat or in the YouTube comments or come knock on my door because I'll be here.
That's a nice open invitation.
Yeah. My house is your house.
Well, David, what's been going on with you? Got anything new?
Well, yeah, actually, today I just released the newest version of. I know, like in a couple of the early episodes, we were talking about state machines, and
who can forget?
Yeah. So, I actually just released a new version of this library I've been working on called XStates, which is sort of like state machines on steroids. It's like a way to do hierarchical, nested, complex state machines, which sounds like a huge learning curve, but doing your app without state machines and having all that spaghetti code is an even bigger learning curve for future developers who will hate you for the code that you write.
Yes, or yourself a month down the road.
Exactly, which might as well be a brand new person,
Hey, Procale is now following. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, thanks, Procale.
So I'm looking at the little demo here. We've got a lot of arrows and words happening here. It's very exciting. Uh-oh.
It's what your app.
Oh no! Hold on, David. We're losing you.
Oh.
There you are. Okay.
Okay. You found me?
Yes. So what are we looking at here?
All right. So basically, it's a way to visualize your application as it goes through various states. And so before, developers would usually do this in their heads, which is not good. So this is all the information that exists in your head. And I'm taking it out of your head and putting it in a very visual way so that you could see how your app is going from states to states. And there's a whole bunch of advantages to this too, because now that you have this visualization, you could figure out every single possible path and every single event that can happen, or what's possible, what's not possible within an application. How you could easily add features, things like that.
As a visual learner, I can definitely say that is a huge help for tracking kind of the complexity and the possible permutations of your app.
Right, and so without this, you're just coding blind, really.
That is super cool. So you can find that again at github.com/davidkpiano/xstate, and all the docs in that demo are available there.
Just posted in the chat too, so you can find it there.
Awesome. And I worked on something last week that I'll share as well. Just a small CodePen demo of splitting image, the library that we've used a couple times before on a few Keyframers projects. This is just kind of a hover gallery concept where you hover over one of the images and you get this nice gridded tile overlay, large presentation of that image. And this is, barely any JavaScript, and then just a lot of fun CSS to make that happen. But the more I'm getting into CSS vars, the more excited I am about the potential there.
Yeah, and there's a lot of possibilities. I gave a few talks about it in the past. it's really underutilized, and there's so much you can do with it, and so much that we have been doing with it in this show.
Yes. And I think what was your first talk on CSS vars?
So it was reactive animations with CSS variables, and that was just a way of using RxJS, which we have used in a couple episodes, to control CSS variables, which means that instead of having to manage styles within JavaScript and also in your CSS, all your JavaScript is doing is sending these values over to CSS land, and you could do whatever you want with them. You could, change them in media queries. You could do calc and like use those values in whatever way you want. Lots of different
change them with other JavaScript that's disconnected from the original.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of potential there. So if you haven't looked into CSS vars at all, or CSS custom properties as the proper name is, you should definitely check them out. And you think we're going to be using any of those tonight, David?
Well, I have a couple set up already. But
hey,
actually, do I? Hold on.
Don't make a liar out of me, David.
Yeah, we are going to be using it, and the reason why is because, well, actually, let's just go right into the animation, and I'll explain why.
Yeah, let's take a look at what we're building this week. So we did something a little bit different this week. We had a vote on Twitter. If you don't follow us already, twitter.com/keyframers. And we put it up to a vote to see what y'all wanted to see made. We had a choice between bike sharing app and call screen, which I don't have call screen up, but hey, we're not doing it anyway, so who cares? So the vote came through, and by a wide margin, it was bike sharing app. So bike sharing app animation, renting and data dashboard by Mikal. How do you pronounce that last name, David?
I don't. Do you?
We'll just say Ska.
Okay.
Mikal Ska. And why don't you explain it a little bit to us?
Well, the part that I really like about this animation is how you see the blue button. It's really, really, really eye-catching, which you want it to be, because as a designer or developer, that's the call of action. That's what you want the user to click. And so you could see that as you're going from screen to screen, this cool little button morphs or blends right into another focal part of the next screen. And so there's 3 screens in total in this animation, and the button blends between all 3 of those. Now, there's a few other, like I would call micro interactions or other animations as well, and we could talk about those. Another interesting one is how the circle rotates at the top.
Yes.
And so we could probably do some sort of CSS transition to tackle that one. And then there's some stagger effects, which are simple but always deliver great impact animation-wise.
Yeah,
so.
Definitely looking forward to that circle animation. I've got some good ideas on that one. Let's go into our favorite extension, GIF Scrubber, and just take kind of a slow motion look at it. So here's our initial state with the bike image and the circle and the rating. Once the button is pressed, you get that nice morph that David was talking about, and the yellow circles moving up around, and then you select an option. You get that fancy image transition, which is kind of the main feature in this animation, but unfortunately we don't have images like that, so we're going to improvise a little bit. And
yeah, we can't. That would take a very long time to do.
And then you get just some nice little features on this last page here. Okay. Yeah. Are you ready to get started, David?
Nope.
No.
Let's do it anyway.
Not at all. All right. Let's get going. All right. So we've done a little bit of setup already, so that we can focus a little bit more on the transition and the animation. We've got our lovely bike here, the classic bike X4. That's a very impressive ride. It's just missing one of those nice little handlebar bells. And what will be What do we have already in here, David?
So all I have right now, I promise, 0 animations, just some HTML structure and our best friend, CSS Grid. This kind of layout really calls for CSS Grid, especially because there's some asymmetry to it. There's some grid, literally grid aspects, like the whole details below the bike, the height, weight, rating, and number of open bikes.
Yeah.
And yeah, in the other screens, there's even more fun grid stuff. I also, using our layers technique that we talked about in the last episode, we're splitting this up into 3 scenes, I call them. And so each of these scenes are going to be layers. And so they're going to be positioned absolutely right on top of each other. And that's going to allow us to do the seamless animation. That's going to be pretty much the focal point of this thing. Well, that or the circles if you get really into the circles. I know how much you like circles, so.
I do enjoy circles.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we went with diamonds for our logo, but you know, I don't think keyframes are usually represented by circles. So
yeah.
so our layers here are the data scene divs. They're just position absolute stacked on top of each other to give us the current view that we're in. We've got data state equals bike, so that we're just looking at the data scene equals bike. If I change this up here to data scene equals time, then when
nothing happens yet.
Oh.
But wait, just give me 1 second. Okay, now do it.
Okay, there we go. So by changing the data state attribute up there, we now get this this second view, and that's all we have prepared so far. Just a little bit of CSS logic and a little bit of layout.
Yeah, and of course some things need to be tweaked, but that's okay. We could.
Yeah.
We can get to that.
I don't think there's anything else too crazy to go over just yet. Where would you like to get started, David?
All right, so let's get started by well, we're going to be doing some flipping here, and so we did this in the first episode. But the first thing to do is we're going to do some treatments to this button. Now, normally when you create a button with a background, you're just adding a background color to the button. However, when doing that, you can't really, animate that performantly. When you're like, if you go back to the animated GIF thing,
yes.
And you will see how that button is smoothly transitioning in size from one to the other. But here's the thing. The only thing that smoothly transforms in size is the background. The other parts of the button, such as the text inside, those don't necessarily stretch, proportionally to the button stretching. So that's why this background actually needs to be a separate element. And so we've done that in previous episodes, and we're going to try that here today.
And Sarah Drasner's asking about the spelling of view that you used to describe. Would you spell view for us, David?
Wait, did I misspell it? Did I spell it at all?
No, but there's a lot of different views we could use, VUE or VIE.
You know what? Maybe we'll do an episode with view one day.
We absolutely should. The possibilities with that are very nice.
Yeah, and it also makes these flipping transitions sort of easier, I believe.
Yes.
So what we're doing here with the whole flipping idea is a little bit interesting because we're flipping sort of a background element. So I don't know. Maybe Vue could handle that. Vue could handle pretty much everything. So not too concerned. All right. So
Koga Silver Dragon is now following. Thank you so much, Koga. I'm glad to have you on board.
Hey, Koga.
Sorry, what were you telling me to handle? Setting up flipping? No, I can't.
No. I'll go over that. So we're going to be adding a background element. And so,
yes.
yeah, so if you go all the way to the bottom of the CSS, we have that UI BG. And so all that's doing is reading the var, BG color. And I think that's how we did it last time too, right?
Essentially, yes.
Yeah, okay, so basically we set that BG variable. And let me bring this over here. All right, so in this button, the UI button, let's find it. Yeah, you got the right idea. So we're just going to add that UI BG. And so that's magically going to just fill the background of that button, and we could remove the background color from the button itself. Well, now it's gone. But the BG. And also in Sass, you sort of need to interpolate this color primary. Otherwise, for whatever reason, Sass will just give you this plain $color primary string as that CSS variable value, which is definitely not what we want.
Yeah. And one issue you commonly run into with doing the BG as a separate element is the z-index problem, where the background is now overlapping the content, and David has solved that via span.
Yeah, I just added a span.
That's literally all. Did you style that span?
No,
wait. What?
It's just a span, dude. It's because you have the color, right? You already have the color of the button, and so that's going to leak in. I can't find the right word. It leaks into. It is
cascades.
It cascades
down the style sheet.
Yes,
if you will.
Yes, it. We don't have to get specific about it. Anyway,
but just adding the span then allows it to be on top in the stacking order.
Yes, because otherwise it's just a plain text node, which isn't really an element. It's like not inside a box, so to speak. So
you have saved me a lot of coding in the future.
Okay. Yeah, just put in a span. All right, so let's actually, because I really want to see this sort of working like as soon as possible. Let's add some JavaScript, and I promise I won't go crazy with state machines, but I could explain how it makes things easier in the long run. We could, here, let's find that button and give it an ID. What's this button ID? ID equals rent. So,
yes.
No, not a good idea?
CTA, maybe? Call to action?
CTA, yeah, but we have many CTAs, but that's okay. Okay, so const LCTA, because this is a Spanish application we're doing, equals document.selector CTA. Then we could do LCTA dot. I wish I could do like on click, but that's a very jQuery thing to do. This whole like, add events listener, it feels very Java. I guess this is where the Java in JavaScript comes in. Sorry, I'm just ranting.
Everybody loves Java.
Yeah. All right. So when we do this, we're going to set the data state. Oh, so const lf equals document.selector app. So app.set attribute data state. We're going to set the state. When you click the CTA, now the state is going to be time, because now we go to this time screen where you could select the time. So what do you do? What happened?
I swear I didn't do anything.
Oh, you added a circle. Okay.
Yes. Did you already add some styles for that?
No. All right, so that's okay.
Oh, is it just the grid?
Well, yes, you pointed out something to me that I was negligent on. And so when you're doing a CSS grid, it sort of just follows like a normal grid flow, like, row by row, column by column. just like Flexbox in a way. However, you can specify in grid like where each of those elements should lie. And you have more control over that than Flexbox, where in Flexbox you could control the order, but with grid you could actually control where exactly those end up. So I will go ahead and do that because I'm negligent and I am sorry.
No, I needed to make that position absolute anyway, so it's all fine now.
Oh, wait, does it work? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, everything.
Okay, well then we will let my negligence stand just for now, just so that we could move on. All right, so if you click the button, you're gonna see that we get to the next screen, right?
Yes, wait, yep.
Yeah, all right, so let me look back at the div. We need a way to go back to the previous screen. And I think, just for testing purposes and stuff like that. Right. And so we have that arrow at the top, which we could use.
Oh, yes.
And we're totally going to use that. Okay. So I'm going to add that real quick. All right. Header.ui. Header.
Is that persistent across? Yeah, it's persistent across.
Yeah. So
first two states at least.
Yeah. So the entire app actually has its own grid as well. And this is just a very lazily styled back button. ID equals back. And all right, you're about to see why state machines are so good. I'm not going to add a state machine, but I'm going to show you why they're good. All right, so let's say that we want this back button to, well, have back behavior. So lback, I'm going to call it lbacko, equals document.querySelector back. And so we want to say that when we click the back button, when we click lbacko sounds like tobacco, don't smoke. When we click lbacko, then we're going to go back to, what was the first one? Bike. Now, what's the problem with this? And
when you're already on bike, it doesn't go anywhere?
That, or what if you're on the third screen? Do we want it to go back to bike, or do we want it to go to time instead?
Well, luckily, on the last screen, there is no back button, so...
Oh, okay, well, we lucked out there. But if there was, then we would have to be like, if we're in this state, then go to time. Otherwise, if we're in another state, then go to back. And so now we have these really long, complicated either switch statements or if statements, and state machines solve that. So if we have time today, maybe we'll refactor that. But for now, since you said there's no back button on the last screen, this is fine.
Yes.
And so now we see we could go, I don't know if you're clicking back and forth, but we could go back and forth between these two states.
Yeah, that's
right?
Super handy.
Cool. So let's add flipping and get that out of the way first.
Let's do it.
So what I did, before I added this flipping script, and I'll go ahead and post it in the chat in case anyone wants to code along and follow us and beat us and show us how much better they are than us. It's not hard to do. But yeah, I'm using that flipping script. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a new flipping. Equals new flipping. And now we have to add some identifiers, some keys, flipping keys, onto the background elements, because those are the ones that are going to morph into each other. So let's go ahead and find that first one right over here. Data flip key equals BG. Or actually, I'm going to call that button, just so that we're a little bit more semantic.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. Actually, it sort of does. And actually, just kidding, BG. And the reason why is because over here, this BG, it's not a button per se. I guess it sort of is, but key equals BG. Oh, and here's the other annoying thing about not using state machines, is that, let me move this flipping up here. The way flipping works is that it listens right before a change happens and right after a change happens. And so one easy way to do that is just to wrap, whatever function does that before something happens and after something happens. But now you have to do it to every single one. Thankfully, we don't have that many states here, so that's fine. Okay, so let's see what happens. Go ahead and now go back and forth.
Yeah, we're getting some blue background movement.
Yeah, and that worked on the first time. I'm internally freaking out because it works, but I'll just pretend like I made that would work. I could actually make that a little bit slower. And let's do a duration of 600.
Actually move the UI circle out.
Ah, so you're doing the circle. Cool.
Yeah, just a quick start. Flame Haste asked, where's the flipping class coming from? That is
watch your language.
That is coming from the library that David wrote and included here, and it's a quite handy little tool. What is the GitHub link to that?
Oh yeah, let me get that GitHub link real quick.
Yeah, I got it. Oop. Hey, there we go. David beat me to it. Yeah, recommend looking into that if you are into these kinds of transitions. Really helps.
And there's lots of examples there. So, and I plan on making more in the future. I just need this thing called time. It's very hard to come by.
It is.
Okay, so what's your strategy for the circle?
Okay, so if you go back and look at the animation, the circle's actually moving in a round path. It's not just moving in a linear way straight up to the left.
Can you do some rotation?
So yes, what I have here is a container. Good old Olympics red. So what I'll do with that container is rotate it from maybe the bottom left position so that the circle moves in that kind of rounded path, since the circle itself is going to be occupying kind of this upper area of it.
Cool.
Does that sound good?
Yes, sounds like a plan.
Excellent.
While you're doing that, I'm going to be trying to add font awesome. They and I promise they didn't pay us to, or pay me to say this, but they had a Kickstarter a while back where, no, they should. They had a Kickstarter a while back where for only $20 you get this like pro license to all of these awesome fonts that they said they were going to make, and they ended up making them, and they're all like really, really, really good. I think there's like over 1,000 free icons and almost 2,000 pro icons. However, for here we probably only need the free icons, so I'm just going to figure out how to add those in while you do your circle thing.
Yeah. Just having a little.
Also, if you have any questions about flipping, I could talk about it in the chat. Not you, Shaw. Other people. You're not allowed to ask questions.
Oh man.
You're supposed to just know everything.
Right. I already know it all, so that's great. Transform origin, bottom left. Rotate 0 degrees.
I think you and I know so much that combined, our knowledge is about almost half of the knowledge of Sarah Drasner. So we're pretty up there.
Man, we're already at half of her knowledge.
We're already half of her knowledge. Yeah, just us combined. That's a lot.
That definitely is. Let's see. All right, I set a little duration variable if you need to use it in the future, so we can adjust those things. And what we'll do is data state equals, what's the second one? Time. From there. Eric D. Johnson says, flipping reminds me of the Flight of the Conchords song. I know which one you're talking about, and that is a very enjoyable song.
Wait, which one is that?
I can't remember the name of it, but I'm hearing it. Yes, the hip hoppopotamus versus the rhinoceros, where they do not swear.
I remember that one. Oh, good times.
Hey, oh, missing a little.
Sorry, I'm changing
here.
stuff.
No, you're good. Hey, look at that. We're already getting some movement here.
Yes.
But it is covering up the back button, so let me.
Yeah, we sort of need that.
Header.
While you're doing that, I'm going to be working on the third page, which is just a whole bunch of boring CSS grid stuff. But if you played with CSS grid, it's like not boring at all. It's like, oh my god, this saves me so much time.
There we go. All right, that's pretty close. Let me see how far. Oh, it goes way over there.
Are you using viewport units? I don't remember.
I'm using percentage units, so it'll scale with the container.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, I think I just use viewport units and percentage units and rems, and that's basically my toolkit.
Doing a little bit of touch up overall. Let's see.
Live in Houston, right?
I do.
Cool. I'm just modifying the current location areas here for the third screen. I need it to be realistic, you know? So.
Let me see. Is there a reason in the data scene equals time that you have UI details on the paragraph?
Yeah, because that's outside of the. Yeah, I mean those are the details, and I have to make that smaller actually. Why? What's up?
Let's see.
It is a paragraph.
Yeah, that should maybe be UI description. Maybe that
Fair enough.
I'm just gonna change that. If it breaks anything, then you can sue me.
It broke everything.
I broke everything again?
No, okay, you're fine.
Strange. Why is it not margin bottoming?
I mean, I see it rotating.
Oh yeah, that's rotating fine. The portion I coded is working just fine, David.
Great.
Okay. Get this grid column here.
Sorry if things temporarily broke. I'm adding some JavaScript to target the plans when you click one of the plans. And I know we do L for elements, but since there's more than one, I'm calling them los plans because, yeah.
Los planos.
Los plans, like flan.
Huh. top, one rim. That is very silly.
What happened?
In the time scene, the paragraph, I added some margin after it, but that did nothing. But adding a margin top to the plans that you're working on did work. Yeah. I don't know if that's a grid thing or what. Say that. What is our last scene called? Ride?
Ride, yeah, because it's like detailing what your ride is.
Gotcha. Okay. Just adding.
And personally, my ride's pretty sweet. I have this nice pink bicycle. Yeah.
Nice bright pink bicycle. Okay, and you have not added the last state in the logic there.
Oh, you're right. I was like, why aren't things working? And that's because we forgot to add that state thing. So ideally, like
the state thing in the CSS.
Yeah. Okay. Ideally, this would be done via JavaScript, just because you don't want to have to like duplicate that stuff over. And so I guess if you were doing it in JavaScript, then you would have them all hidden by default, and then using JavaScript, you would display each one of them.
Toggle
right? Is that what you would do?
Probably. I'd probably be using Vue, but.
Oh yeah, well, whatever you use. Yeah. So okay, it looks like your circle thing is working.
Seems to be.
Nice. All right, so that scene equals ride. I'm gonna add some more grid template row stuff. One, two, four. Okay.
You said you did add font awesome, right?
Not yet. I sort of gave up on that whole thing, but yeah, we could definitely add it later. I'm sure it's pretty easy to do. You know what? Let me just do it.
Well, icon-wise, we really don't, unless we want to do that bottom navigation, which isn't super necessary. I mean,
do you want to use emojis? Because I want to use emojis.
I mean, really, all we're needing is the back arrow. So
we could totally use emojis.
Yeah, I'll look up a good emoji here.
Okay, we could do this entire thing with emojis. So.
Well, we tried the bike with the emoji, and unfortunately, that had some complications.
Oh yeah, so that's an interesting thing. If you're trying to use emojis in your CodePens, at a certain size, they will not work. They'll just disappear. But you could get them pretty big before then. And I guess earlier we tried a thing where we used scale in order to grow the emojis, but that didn't work either. So.
Yeah. Weird. Oh yeah, and this is a hangover from that. Yeah, I think it's just the emojis don't have super high res versions of them, and so after a certain font size, the renderer just says nope.
Yeah.
And I guess Chrome is smart enough when you're scaling text to actually change the font size to the max and then scale down.
Mm-hmm. So in this case, it's too smart.
Right. Nice. Right.
You break the CSS.
Yes, almost always.
All right, we're doing display grid to this cartoon. I set the states to ride so that I could work on that.
No, that's fine.
we could get that going. Hopefully that's fine with you. Hopefully I didn't mess up anything that you were doing.
Nope, we're all
Cool.
good here.
Good. Let's see.
How's everybody doing out there in Chatland?
You all are sort of quiet.
Yeah. Do we have any bike puns that anybody's got?
I could cycle through some of mine that I have memorized.
Yeah, I think I have some spare cash. I could bike some from you guys.
Oh, man. That one really grinded my gears.
Oh. Yeah, we should probably put the brakes on that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'll just ask in the chat. Maybe we could peddle some other puns off some people.
Only if they're really good.
We had a good streak. Yeah. Are you tired of them yet?
We are awful.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't want us to get to the point where we're just spinning our wheels.
Yeah. All right, yeah, let's just shift gears and get back into this, okay? Sorry, everyone.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, let me go back to the original here. Our bike is worth 5 stars. Sure about that?
You know what? You want to change those? That bike is probably 3 stars. It's not the right size for me. You know, tried riding it in the race. It just didn't work.
Let's see.
Lots of, but the advantage of this bike was much less chafing. You know, because I couldn't reach the bike seat, so there was virtually no chafing. So that's good.
Were you one of those kids that rode on your bike standing basically the entire time?
Yeah, when I was younger, when I had a mountain bike, and now I have a road bike. I haven't ridden in a while, but that was pretty much all seating, all bending down, all that fun stuff.
Yes. Oh, sorry, David. I'm covering your head with emojis.
Okay. It's like the preferred state for my head.
Right.
Just covered with emojis.
Please do not encourage us, Coca Silver Dragon. It will only be going downhill from here. It says, please go on with the jokes. Procale says, if you make a bad pun, get back on your bike and pun some more.
Yeah. Good advice.
That's right. Making puns is one of those things you just never forget. It's kind of like I forget what the phrase is.
What the hell is it like?
Oh, you know where I'm going with that.
I know where you're going. You're just going in circles right now. Okay, I have my card component, which is awesome.
All right. So as far as the transitions for the other items, what approach were you going to take? Kind of like we did last time, where we used transition and set different kind of positioning based on the data state.
For which parts in particular are you talking about?
Well, so for example, going from bike to time, the buttons are supposed to kind of fade in and slide up.
Yeah,
with
so
a little bit of staggering. Nice.
Yeah, with that one, what I was thinking we could do is, number one, ignore the featured one, which is the blue one, and then make it simple. Let's just stagger from the bottom, right? Because that's where we're starting. So,
right.
We would have to do a reverse order sort of thing. Well, I mean, we already know how many there are, but man, there's always a conflict between, do we hard code this in the CSS, or do we, you know, do we plan ahead and, just say, what if it's dynamic? What if we could have many different times? Let's do that. And this is why. It's because I want to, just do a little bit more with CSS variables. And so what I'm going to do for each of these plans, I'm just going to, in the HTML, add a style tag with an I variable. And that's just going to be the index. And so you can imagine in JavaScript, that's actually pretty easy to do, especially if you're using Vue or React or maybe Angular. Yeah, probably Angular. So I'll show you what I'm going to use. So style equals, yep, you got it. So this one is 0, 1, and so on.
Teamwork.
L equals I, 3. I know I said we're ignoring feature, but we'll put that there anyway.
4. Well, yeah, it's still good to have them.
Yeah, and then check it out. In the parents, I'm going to do this. Style equals total, and there's 4 of them. No, 5.
Yes.
And so the reason we're doing that is because we want to go backwards. So 5 minus 4, 5 minus 3, 5 minus 2, that's going to get us the correct stagger that we need.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. I think the math's right in that one.
Yeah, you can keep working on that state. I'll get those styles in there for the plans.
For the staggers?
For the plan button.
Okay, awesome.
Translate Y.
So I'm going to keep working on the ride state.
Opacity 0.
And so you all get to see me struggle with CSS Grid.
What's your favorite cubic Bezier? 0.5, 0, 0, 0.5?
0.5, man, I have to do this. 0.5, 0, 0.5, 1. That's an easy one. It's a nice little S curve. So it's going to be smooth to start, smooth to end, and about the same feel.
Okay. Let's see, got that.
Yeah, my rule of thumb, I don't know if everyone agrees with me, probably not, that's okay, but it's that, what was I going to say? The simpler the cubic Bezier is, the better it's going to look. So if you see a cubic Bezier that's like 0.4071235 and just like random decimal numbers everywhere, that's not based on any scientific measure. I promise you. That's like, okay, we're just dragging the little dots around until it feels right. That's why I like using numbers like 0 and 1 in my cubic Beziers, because that's like, that the speed is going to start at 0 and it's going to naturally accelerate and naturally decelerate.
Yes.
So, my thinking.
I was illustrating your point by playing around with some.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to rewatch the video now. Great.
Okay, let me see if that's even doing anything right now. Okay, data state equals bike. Oh, that just needs to be that.
Oh wow, I was writing like these stats, and I thought that we were still on the bike page, and I'm like, why do bikes have calories? Like, is it for if people try to eat the bike? I probably should have read closer what this was.
Okay, let's see, data state equals. Oh, I see what the problem is. Should do that. Data state equals ride. Or wait, time. UI plan.
Something I have to point out, which I just find funny. Have you ever like seen a really good animation or a really good design on Dribble, and then you read the actual text that's used in the design, and it either makes no sense or it's just ridiculous, or that happens a lot. So,
yeah.
but people tend to ignore.
Most of the time, it's all Greek to me.
4, 5, 183, distance, carbon. What does carbon mean? Well, I know it's in elements, but it's like in terms of bytes. I'll figure it out later.
Okay, that's very strange. If you wouldn't mind taking a look and seeing what I'm doing wrong on about line 90, 94.
Of where?
The CSS. Sorry.
All right, line 90.
Yes.
Well, there's nothing on line 90. So.
94. I said around.
Oh.
So UI plan. I've got the transition on it. I've just got it all and linear right now. I've got them translated down and opacity 0. And then on data state equals time, those should be translating up into their proper state. That does not seem to be happening. Am I doing something wrong there?
Let me think. UI plan, data state equals. Oh, wait, no, not O. Translate Y. I'm just, all right, what if we put like 3 seconds or something here? Because maybe the variable's wrong. Oh man, it's taking forever. All right,
okay, and it's only that first one that's doing it. Oh, is it because we're going from display none to display not none?
Yes, that's exactly why. Okay. And so, yeah, we could use your techniques that we've used before with the data scenes.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about? Where, yeah, the visibility hidden.
Yes.
But we just have to make sure that we're not accidentally clicking.
Well, visibility hidden will also take away the pointer events as well.
Okay.
So we don't have to worry about that.
And so I'm going to. We don't want the featured plan to have this animation. We want it to be exempt.
Correct.
So, yeah. So yeah, that's working.
It is. Let me get that Bezier back on. And that cubic Bezier. Oh, there.
Yeah, and also if you look at the animation, just a little point, the text fades in like later. Like there's a little bit of delay to the text fading. So
yes,
these micro details are good to notice.
Now, David, do you ride a bike as your primary mode of transportation?
No, I don't. But I'll tell you, I've been dying to live somewhere where that was my primary mode of transportation. So maybe one day.
Does anybody in the chat use bike as primary transportation? I unfortunately do not live in an area where that is possible either. Yeah, there are some areas of Houston where you could do that.
Right, like downtown Houston, right? Sort.
Probably not a whole lot down there. There's really not that many people that actually live in downtown Houston. It's mostly business down there.
Okay.
Let's see. Simplify a little here. Yeah, I am envious of some of these fancy urban areas that everybody walks and rides bikes to get everywhere.
Yeah. It's funny, you go to some cities and it's just full of like dedicated bike paths, even. I was just in Denver and they had the same thing, just dedicated bike paths. It's pretty awesome.
Go.
Something funny happened to the button of the. Actually, no, it's probably my fault. That's my fault. Ignore me.
Always do.
Yep.
It's a shame. 5 seconds.
That is. All right, so yeah, right now I'm just wrestling with CSS Grid. Nothing really too interesting happening.
Yeah.
What are you wrestling with?
I'm just still working on that transition. Ooh. Probably do overflow hidden on the data scenes. Is that okay? I'm getting some scroll bar pop-ups when oh nope, do that.
Oh, I see. It's like it's working.
Yes.
But oh, you're trying to get the stagger, right?
Yeah. Well, no. I'm just there's some scroll bars coming up that I was trying to eliminate, and it's I think it's just due to UI plans overflow Y auto. So anyway, yeah. So let's get back into the staggering transition property. Let's go ahead and limit that to transform and opacity. Now, I haven't seen any actual research on this, but my theory is that using transition all leads to terrible performance.
I think so. I mean, I don't know.
Transition.
Because you would think that the browsers would be smart enough to know what you're actually transitioning, right?
Yeah, you would think that, but you never know. 5 seconds times var total minus var I. Do you like when I type and talk?
Typing and talking is fun. It's also dangerous. That's why I have major respect for people who go on stage and live code. I don't think I'd be caught doing that dead in a presentation. I would do the the pie in the oven technique where it's like, yeah, I already have one made. There you go.
Star wipe and
yep.
Oh, let's see. Right. What is?
Do you have a fun Memorial Day weekend?
I did. Got out to the pool and didn't get
Oh,
sunburnt,
nice.
so that's always a win for someone with my complexion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and went and saw Sing in the theater.
Sing.
That animated movie from last year, something like that. They just had like a family showing, so my family and I all went to see that.
Oh, cool. Very nice.
Yeah. What about yourself?
So I went to Denver to visit a friend. Little music recital sort of thing. So that was pretty nice.
You were reciting, or your friend?
No. My friend was doing her music recital, and I got to go hiking. And also, Florida, we have this thing called Subtropical Storm Albert. I don't know what a subtropical storm is. Um, it makes it sound like it's not as bad as a tropical storm, but I guess a subtropical means that it formed above the tropics, so it didn't form in warm water, it formed in a little bit colder water. But because of global warming, what's really tropical anymore, you know? And so I'm glad I got to escape all that.
Yeah, what was it actually crazy, or was it just kind of an annoyance?
Um, I'm gonna have to do some grid foo here because I need to determine. Well, actually, well, yes, grid. I think there's like a grid thing for repeats. I'll like full disclosure, the only CSS grid that I've been using regularly is like just the normal CSS grid functions like grid template column, grid row. I use FR, and other things like that. But as far as the more advanced features, I haven't really used those yet. So
Yeah, I briefly toyed with actually doing what's the property called where you actually do like tags of template areas?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I did that once and then I forgot how you do that again. I just need to practice more. And as we do more of these designs, we're going to be seeing more and more CSS grids. So I think that's a good thing for me to really catch up on.
Yes.
But let's see if this works. Oh my god, it worked. I used repeats for the first time. I feel like writing hello world in a language, and honestly, that's the greatest excitement. When you do your first hello world, even it doesn't matter how many years of experience you have as a developer, doing hello world in something completely new and having it just work, that's the best. So I encourage you to all find your hello world, find your piece. Anyway, so the My Ride page should be done. I'm not going to necessarily do the card transitions because I don't think we'll have enough time for that, but
yeah.
So we're going to stick with what we have now because what we have now is actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm. I agree. That looks very nice, David.
Yeah, and you have some staggering going on, so.
So let me walk through that really quick, so that you know as well for any of the other state transitions.
But there's some weirdness with the thing that used to be flipping but is no longer flipping. Where do you have transition applied?
Okay, so yeah, go to line 87, and you can see on data scene I have a transition for opacity, just to help the scenes fade in between each other. So that can potentially affect any transforms or positioning. But since you use position relative on everything, that shouldn't matter. And then I've got visibility transitioning as well. If you didn't know already, visibility is transitionable. It only toggles at 50%, but you can use transition to trigger visibility changes. So in this instance, I've got visibility hidden on the data scenes and a transition delay for visibility at duration times 2, so that when the scene is actually transitioning, it's still visible until that transition delay is up and it toggles over to visibility hidden. So does that make sense?
Yes. And actually, this might be my problem, but there's an easy way to fix it. And it's that, and yeah, we sort of have to hold on. All right, so you're saying when you go from scene to scene, so I'm looking back at the GIF right now, and so when we're going back
Right,
to
you
the
can see how
scene,
the other stuff fades out.
yeah. So the thing that flipping does is it detects when something is done, and so that means that that's gone, and it needs to animate to the new one. And because things are fading out slowly, it still thinks it's there. However, I think that's easily remediable by just making that
Doing display none on that element in particular?
on just that one, the BG elements.
Okay, so we could
So
do that just in here.
where are you right now?
None. Back up at line 90-ish.
Yeah. In fact, we can make this more generic.
Yeah, that's working. Oh yeah, sure.
Did that work? Yes, it worked. Funny enough, the the focus ring stays. Which,
yeah. Huh. Oh, because the element itself is still there. We're just taking out the
right,
background.
Yeah.
So we can do star outline. Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always much better when you add sound effects. Okay, that stagger is not great. And this.
Yeah, it's a bit sluggish, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what I'm modifying right now. What's that? Let's actually var that up. We'll do stagger 5, and then I guess we can move that up here. Then var stagger, properly spelled, and then 0.3 seconds time plus var stagger. Let's see how that looks. I keep wanting to click that blue button. It's doing pretty well. We might want to actually remove the index from the featured one because I think that's part of why the delay feels a little bit weird.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
you know what
sure.
I mean?
Yep.
So I'm gonna change that.
And of course, these are all things that you could do with JavaScript as well.
Yeah, but who needs it?
Yeah.
We need a much better easing on that circle. Let me see what that looks like.
Want to use mine?
Yeah, of course. No, Andrea's art gallery. Nobody needs JavaScript. It's just a convenience.
We should do something crazy one episode, like make tic-tac-toe with this CSS or something fun like that.
Oh, jeez. 0.51. Let's see how that feels. Okay. Yeah, that feels pretty good. Okay, let's see what other elements we need from this animation. So the old scene seems to be shifting up as well.
Mm-hmm.
Except, well, let's see, the very first scene, data scene equals bike, is shifting up a little bit. Do we have that? Do we have the button animation at a good place?
The what?
The button data state equals time. Is that one feeling better now?
You tell me.
Let's see. I think that's pretty nice.
I added an importance keyword. Don't yell at me. I just wanted things to work, you know.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll behave in a minute. Well, no, I still will. No, I won't.
One thing we can do on those as well is using the what would you call the total minus the index?
Total minus the index?
Yeah, is there a proper name for that? Kind of inverting the index there?
The last index. In fact, I know that's the right name because, you know, JavaScript has those last index ofs, you know, those methods. So, yeah. I'm gonna make this button a little bigger. I don't know about you, it feels a little small to me.
Yeah,
so
could use a little more heft to it.
Or maybe I made it too big now. That's okay. So where do you control the fading out of, or are you just fading out the entire?
It's the entire thing. You know.
And where's that?
Around line 90, 98.
Okay.
And
do you know that off the top of your head? Or
I was looking at it. It just took me a moment to register which line that was. I don't have nearly that good of a memory.
Yeah. Because and here's the thing about like some animation requirements, like sometimes you don't want everything to have the same fade in, fade out behavior. So I was thinking like just doing a star selector and then basically only the well, we could like now tweak what gets faded in, faded out.
Yes, that's fine. If you want to work on that, that is more than fine by me. I did need to move the transition delay up, though, and that wasn't necessary in there.
Oh, it's a lot better.
Yeah, a little bit cleaner. You can see a little bit more of what's happening, and if you want to do that, the shifting up of that first state, and with the opacity changes, it'd be good. I'll keep tweaking these buttons because they're not feeling right to me just yet.
Size. Oh, let's see if I screw something.
Height as well. Suppose I'll move this down with the.
Okay.
Oh, good fine. I'm breaking things.
What
am I doing? I think my tiny keyboard is doing the best of me here. Keep hitting Command Z instead of Command X.
Great.
X. There we go.
Oh boy, my CSS grid is failing. Like, and maybe you could help me solve this real quick, but you notice how on the first screen the button's all the way at the bottom?
Yep.
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
Nope.
It should be higher, but I think something maybe is pushing it down. Oh, probably the description thing. But no, it shouldn't be.
I added some margin there, so that might be part of it.
Yeah, it might be pushing it down, but that's okay. It's a good idea. Oops. Yeah, it's probably pushing it down. So I'll have to think about how we could do that.
Oh. Is there a reason you like to use not a lot rather than overriding on a specific element?
Where am I doing that?
Just like the UI plan not featured.
Oh, I mean, could go either way on that.
Sure. But in general, is there a reason you do that?
Because sometimes it's easier to target things that are not something than things that, than trying to, like, it's like the whole whitelisting versus blacklisting thing. It's a very, very situation specific sort of thing. At least in my opinion. Let's see this here. Description. Let's see. Details. Oh, I fixed it. Yes.
What'd you fix?
The button on the front page thing. That was
nice. And I'm gonna move the remove the overflow on UI plans if that's all right with you.
Okay. Also, I
need to factor in scrolling right now.
Yeah, I think for whatever reason, and this might be the whole knots thing that you were talking about, but now the button isn't transitioning correctly from.
Yeah, I changed something, and let me see. Let's do this instead. Instead of not, let's actually target the element we want to not be opacified and not transformed. What did I do? Oh. Leftovers. There we go. Is that... No, still getting opacity happening there.
That might be why I did the knots.
Well, I think it's just a specificity battle because of how, yeah. UI plan, no, it's specificity-wise, it needs to be UI plans. Rather than going important, we can just do that.
Oh, is it because we're using the star selector?
Right.
Yeah, so I guess we had to be...
That feels super good now.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing with this animation is there's so many different smaller animations that we really need to account for.
Right. Okay, and so star is opacity 0. So yeah, the problem with that star opacity 0 is now you don't get the
so now
transition out.
Yeah, let's do our due diligence and actually just go one by one.
Yeah.
And just target them individually.
Okay.
I think that's a better idea.
Yeah. Okay. So looking at the first state and its outro transition, the button's clicked, it expands like we've got, and those other ones are coming in, but the rest of the content that's transitioning out shifts up just a little bit. It looks like it all moves together. I don't even think there's any staggering happening there. It's just over the course of a couple frames.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, on the buttons, the text is actually appearing before the background, and then the background fades. So I'm gonna if you'll focus on the transition out, I'll focus on the BGs.
For which part?
For the buttons that are transitioning in from that first state to the second state. The text is actually appearing, and then the background is fading in.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, so I'll be adding some UI BGs to all of these to help.
Oh wait, do I see what you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's just a staggering thing.
Right.
Probably.
Something like that. Okay. I'm gonna move data state back to bike to start us out for easier transitioning.
Good to me.
And let's see, UIBG, RGBG. Okay, yeah, that actually helps.
It'd be fun if we did like speed rounds. Just chose some animations and then like let's try to do this within half an hour or 10 minutes or so. I think small things like that would be fun to do.
Yeah.
So if anyone has suggestions, let us know in the chat. You know what to do.
Could definitely start some timers and things. Whoop.
Okay, let's see what we're doing. Wow, there's a lot of numbers in here. So I think one thing that could really, like, what you're doing is you're staggering each one of those, like, from the, I don't know, if you staggered them or not staggered, but if you transition or transform them just so that it's, 100%, which is, I think, what you just did.
Yeah.
Then that's going to look a lot nicer.
Yeah. In the actual animation, there is maybe a little more movement than that. The way that it's staggering is maybe almost springed in some capacity. Oh, that's what it is.
You can do some math.
Well, instead of doing transition delay, doing transition duration based on the stagger.
That's an idea.
Let's see, transition delay. Whatever it would be.
I'm just clicking these buttons back and forth.
Add a little bit. Let's see how that goes. Oh, I broke something.
Okay. Now I'm going to work on the other animations, like when you go from one state to the other, like the rest of the text. Because that's what really sells the animation. So let me just do that. Okay. I have an idea. You're going to think it's really, really, really ugly, but I think Ben is ugly, so.
Also be my or your Bezier. Let me see if I tweak one a little bit. Do you use the little curve editor in Chrome DevTools?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Well, only when I'm really need to, tweak those.
Part of the problem is
Can I do something experimental in here? No, I'm not going to. Okay. The general transitions. Here, up, transition, three, one, transition duration. Do we have a set duration? Yeah, it's duration.
Yes.
Oh. Okay, so what I might need to do here is probably undo your visibility hidden because we don't want to hide everything. So I'll comment it out.
Well, the beautiful thing about visibility hidden is you can override it on the child element.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. Wow. Okay.
David. How quickly you
I
forget these valuable nuggets of wisdom that I
never
drop.
use that property, but now I will because that is such a life hack. Wow. Did it work though? It didn't work.
Well, can't win every time. Speed up the overall duration a little bit as well.
Okay, it sort of works. Go ahead and click like when you click rent from $2. Click from there to the next one. You see the classic bike X4? That's fading up correctly, but the other ones, I don't know why they're not. They all have the same class. Is it being hidden by something or?
Let me see what you're going on there.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, you still have the star opacity 0.
Oh my god.
And so,
all right, everyone, the star selector is the devil. Never use it. It is bad for you.
Don't you start out every project with the star selector?
Yes, no, but that's like a good. That's star selector, the good parts. Okay, good. We have some progress now. All right, so just while you're doing your thing, to give you an explanation of what I'm doing, I'm adding like a generic utility class called fade up. And so any element that has that, if they're if they're not in their right states, then they're going to, well, fade up. So, and I'm also going to add a fade down. That goes the other way because there's one screen where it does go the other way. I'm sure there's other ways to do this, but I'm going to do it the class way.
Classes are always worth using.
Yeah. Oh, that's a sec. Yeah, actually. All right, so the star selector is gone, right?
Yes, it should be.
All right, good riddance. Nobody liked it.
Poor star selector.
Okay, cool. See if that works. Yeah, it still works. Oh, that opacity ring. I forgot to get rid of it. I said I would, but I did not get rid of it. Okay, and focus on none tokens. Okay, now you're gone. Perfect. Wow, I think you just made the animations really slow. You're probably aware of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing some funky things. I'll wait for the dust to settle.
Don't blame me. All right, it should be feeling a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You got the first scene transition working?
Yeah.
Yeah, feels nice.
Now we just need to add the others. And if you want to tackle this, the specs on the third page, those are also going to be staggered. Or at least they should be.
I'll see what I can do.
Which I think will also use the CSS variable.
Okay. Right. So let's see what that last little bit does. Yeah, those stagger in kind of by the row.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And if you'll do the other portions of this animation, that'd be
Which parts?
the other part of the okay, yeah, you got that going.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, well, something's weird though. Maybe you could help me. When you're on the third page, My Ride, and you click the back button, I don't know, it looks all artifacty.
Yeah. It's just because currently those stats aren't really fading in or out, and so there's just a little bit of overlap. All those are eventually hidden by the visibility.
Is there any easy way to fix that?
Well, that what I'm doing now should fix
okay.
that. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So let's see.
I'm just excited for this to be perfect.
Absolutely. Almost there.
Yeah.
All right, data scene ride. Let's do.
I'm going to have this edit route button actually go back. Just because clicking it does nothing. And as a user, you probably want to click it. So.
Yes. Well, you could either hide it on this state or something. Data state equals Yeah, and ideally we would structure these things a lot better to be able to reuse a lot of these components. You did a great job with the classes that you added. Actually, I could probably use that. So I don't know. At this point, I'm halfway there, so I won't bother. Transition duration. Let's see. I'm gonna hoist last index up to star. And did I break something?
Probably.
Where is it? Where is it complaining? Okay. Yes. Yes, I did. Calc. Duration plus 0.056.
It's funny, we never tested if these work in,
any other browser.
Any other browser.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that is okay. For now, I mean, these are quick experiments. Obviously, if you're doing this in a real project, you're testing in other browsers, but that's going to take longer than 2 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, it's had that kind of time.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Stop shifting things down.
Hard.
UI spec. We've got the index on them. We've got a total. Oh. My var setup was not right. Okay. There we go. Though I should be using actual I here. Okay, yeah, that works. Should probably change that to transition delay for this particular one. Something like that.
Oh, that's what it
is.
Am I still pushing things down?
You're giving us an actual back button.
Yes.
All right.
I need it. It needs to look good.
Louis B. Robinson says, "Hey guys, looking good so far. Thank you so much. It's definitely coming along. I think we're almost
work in progress.
I think we're almost there with it."
Mm-hmm. Oh man, my arrow looks very dumb because of math. Math is not my friend today.
It's never my friend.
Yeah. So where did I go wrong?
Oh, that's a deep question, David.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. A little crazy here, so don't mind me. instead of doing that middle line, I'm just going to straight up do a linear gradients just because. Yeah,
Oh, you're actually building that with CSS?
Yeah. Yeah. And
I don't have a problem with that.
This is totally wrong. Oh, I went the wrong way. Okay, to top it, maybe. Or just kidding. It's almost working. Also. That did not work. Fantastic. I don't know why I thought it would work. It did not work. Oh, it's almost working. Probably be an easier way to do this. Ah, maybe there is. Oh, there isn't.
What are you having trouble with?
I think I'm getting a little too overzealous with my background image linear gradients. And yeah, that's making my arrow all funky. So I have to think of a different
Where are
way.
you at in the code?
Oh, I just deleted it all.
Can talk through.
Oh, line 80. And so I have this transform margin that's on the left, transform rotate.
You're just trying to line up that line.
Yeah, the lining up. All right, here, let's do this. Calc 50% plus 1 pixel. Without, nope, that's the wrong one. Hold on. Oh yeah, calc 50% minus 1 pixel. Now things will magically line. Ah, okay.
Okay, which one is your arrow? Is that before? Or both of them are?
Yeah, so the before and after. All right, so let's say I get rid of this rotate. Perfect. Oh, I know what I could do. Sort of. Yeah, let's do it. So instead of this top thing, we have both of those there. And let's say that the after one, we transform origin to like top left, and then transform rotate 45 degrees.
That's closer. It's closer.
Close enough. Close enough. And then translate y -1 pixel. Oh God.
Oh, but you need to
Wait.
transform the
Ah,
entire thing.
sure. Yes, perfect.
Hey.
Oh my God.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, you know what? It worked. Scale y2 is this gonna up? No, that's screwed it up. Yes, I made it bigger.
Hey, there we go.
Wow. All right. So if you're watching this, never try to do it like I did. Just find a good icon. Like SVG is perfect for this. Whatever I did is not perfect for this. So yeah, just so you know.
Okay, so getting a little bit of an oddity going from, let's see. So right now we have the, can we link up the go back button and the actual back button so they do the same thing? Because going from that final state to the first state with the back button is not working well.
Oh, what do you mean?
So go to the My Ride state and then click the actual back button at the top and see.
So you're saying that's going to the first state.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be going to the first state. Well, right. This is where state machines come in, but we don't have to go into all of that right now. But what's happening is this back button, which is el baco in the CSS, we're assuming that's going back to bike, but that's not entirely the full story.
Right.
And so if we do, let's get the actual current state. And so you said it was app.dataset, right?
Yes.
State.
That should be it.
So we could say if app.dataset.state is what time, then we go to this bike thing. Oh no, what are you doing? You're doing a ternary. Oh, still works in the state machine.
What is okay? Wait, if we want to go.
What did you do?
Bike or?
Okay, that works.
Ride. All right.
I just titled the JavaScript, which is a really cool code pen feature. So if you're on time, then you go back to bike. Otherwise, you're on the last state, so you go to time. Yeah, that makes sense.
Sure.
Okay, so now the behavior should be correct. But this is also why state machines are so good, because there's a better way of doing it than having random ternaries and if statements everywhere.
Yeah.
But that's for another.
Well, let's take a look at this one and make sure there's nothing we're missing, and then I think we can go into to the last segment. How's that feeling to you?
That feels good.
Cool. Now our back button does toggle states from the first state.
Yeah, which it should, right?
Not really, but that's fine. We can play with the logic of this after if we want to refine it a little bit more.
Cool.
But the animation itself, I think we're at a good spot.
Yeah. So I feel good about it.
So we are now moving into Keyflections, a quick review of the techniques we use to build this animation. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask in the chat, and we'll be happy to answer.
Also, if you've enjoyed watching this so far, you could follow us and subscribe here on Twitch, YouTube, or you could pledge at patreon.com/keyframers, and you'll get a special shout out. So do it. The more money you give, the louder we shout. Outs to you.
Absolutely true.
You can find the links below, which are right here. No, here.
Yes.
Oh, that way.
Hey, Andrea's Art Gallery is now following. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. All right, let's go back to our original animation just as a refresher. Bike sharing app animation by Mikhail Ska, we'll call him or her. Yeah, there's the animation we're recreating.
Almost all of it.
Taking a closer look at it, we've got that nice staggering, and then the staggering down from the other state, and then let's go into what we've built. So I'll step through it really quick. Here's the first state, going into the second state, and going into the last state. And then we can, of course, go back each of those and get back to the beginning. All right. So let's see. What would you like to break down on this one, David?
Well, let's tackle the big kahuna first, which is the whole button transition thing.
Yes.
And so that's using flipping, which you could see over there. We talked about this in the first episode. We're giving each of the buttons a special background element, and so that's just an element that covers the entire button with the background color. And because we're doing that, we could actually manipulate that. And
separate from the content of that.
Exactly,
box.
Because when we're changing the shape of the background, we don't want to affect the shape of the actual button. And so we give each of these background elements a flip key, and all of those have the same flip key. And this tells flipping exactly, how, like, what's changing and what should morph into what.
Basically, what to keep track of.
Yeah, what to keep track of. Yeah. And so in the CSS, I'm not sure exactly where it is, but we're doing display none to every flip thing that is not part of the current state. And so that way we could tell flipping, like, hey, we're no longer showing this. So please transform it to the next one, the one that's actually visible. And yeah, so flipping, behind the scenes, it's doing a scale and a translate.
Yes.
So it's using all performance properties in order to do that.
Yeah, and that works out really well, especially for stuff like this, where you have all those kind of consistent pieces that are supposed to move from place to place. And the rest of our JavaScript is basically just to manipulate this data state attribute on the main app container. This could be done in a variety of ways, including with checkboxes or other interesting things like we did on the ocean episode. But here we're just toggling through them with JavaScript. And we kind of manage that a little bit down here with all of the data scene elements. Those data scenes are only visible when their data state is set. So all the other data scenes are hidden, set to visibility hidden, which is a trick I was teaching David again, where when something's visibility hidden, you can't interact with it, you can't do anything with it. It does still take up place in the DOM, but because these data scenes are all position absolute, doesn't exactly matter. And visibility is a transitionable property. So if you set a transition delay on something, it'll remain visible for a portion, and then the transition will take effect. And because of that, we're able to do some of these kind of fade in, fade out animations on the individual elements while keeping things visible, and then they toggle out. We did add data flip key display none so that flipping can better detect what elements are being toggled in visibility. And other than that, using a lot of display grid for layout. The staggering is done with some CSS variables Let's see here, looking in the HTML.
Yeah, a bunch of math to that, but basically we keep track of how many items there are, and we subtract from that total number.
Yes, and with that, we're actually doing we're changing the transition duration for these items based on the index of it, or rather the last index, where we take the total and subtract the index, so that we get the kind of inverted number there. So the last item actually transitions quicker than the first item. So that's how we get that kind of stacked effect. The inner text of those, the UI time and UI price, are actually transitioning separately. So you get kind of a offset look if you're watching closely, and that's kind of fun. We can clean up some of this cruft, and we do have the separate background elements on those, so that we can transition that text and the background a little bit separately. And then we're doing the same kind of staggering technique on the last page with these UI spec elements. This one's actually a little bit simpler, because we're just fading those in right here,
one by one. Yeah.
Yeah. And each row basically is getting its index, since they fade in.
Yeah. Now, if you wanted to do it by index, then you could have done like nth child like even, like if it's an even child, then subtract 1 or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah, that gets even heavier with the math in CSS, and a lot of repetition there as well. So just by doing the styles on the elements themselves, you get some nice easy math there, if there is such a thing.
Yeah, and one more thing, and that's the utility classes, which I don't think we've done before. But if you notice, like the fade up, fade down, and fade scale classes in the HTML, so those were just sprinkled around, and all those classes do is they tell those elements what they should do when we're transitioning from a scene. And so if you go from the first scene to the next scene, then you're going to see those elements with the fade up class fade up, and the ones with fade down, they fade down, and so on. And so that's a lot easier. And actually, I think that that's even more declarative and more a better programming practice than trying to target every single one of those in the CSS, because you just sprinkle those classes onto it, and yeah.
It definitely makes things a lot easier. I'm going to move those transitions up more with the actual scenes, so that can be shown where it's triggering. Again, using transition versus animation is a really great way to have something move in and out kind of in the same way. If you were using animation and trying to reverse or swap animations, you just end up with some really complex keyframes. And so just using transition and setting kind of the final state, and then the default state is just kind of inherited or implied.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and one other thing, the circle. We did that right at the beginning in a pretty quick little way. So the UI circle element actually is much bigger than the circle itself. You can see, what is this GIF you posted, David?
Nothing. That's me sprinkling all the classes on.
Yeah, that looks just like you.
I need to get the glasses on.
So you can see by adding that border, you can see how the element is actually rotating, kind of from that bottom left corner, and the circle itself is offset inside of that, so you get that kind of rounded movement as it goes.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Yeah.
And we didn't use state machines, even though we were on the verge of like, man, this should really be a state machine.
Yeah, it really should have been overall, but you know, we like to show.
That's for your episode.
Well, we like to show different ways of accomplishing things, and this is a way to not pursue when you're doing real apps. But it should be mostly self-explanatory, reading through it in terms of what's going on, but it's not as nice as a XState rendering.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, cool. Anything else you wanted to cover?
I think we're good. Yeah.
All right. Let me fade in that beautiful theme music. And you've been watching Keyframers, the animated collaborative coding live stream where we bring imaginative user interfaces to life. If you've enjoyed this episode and would like to see more from David and I, there are many ways you can support us. You can subscribe and participate on the live streams every Thursday at twitch.tv/keyframers. You can like and subscribe on youtube.com/keyframers. You can tweet us and spread the word at twitter.com/keyframers. Or you can pledge to support us each month at patreon.com/keyframers. All of those links are available below, and you can access them there.
Yeah, and those links are free. You could click them as many times as you want for free.
But please don't wear them out.
Yeah, no. We need lots of people to click them for free. We do accept submissions for future episodes too. This episode, it was put to a vote, but if you have a suggestion, just message me or Shaw. And yeah, tweet Keyframers at Keyframers with any animations that you would like to see made, basically. You can also present questions or challenges to us, and we will try to answer them on the air. Otherwise, I will present my own philosophical questions, and those aren't as good as any questions that you might have. So please think of some.
Yes. Yeah, and that's all we have for tonight. Until next week, keep animating.
Yeah. Adios.